What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. And today's video is about what you see right up here, this notion that we choose our families. I've made other videos in terms of ultimate responsibility, that we basically choose everything in our lives. This is sort of a subcategory, a subfocal point of that broader notion. Again, free will, choice, while it exists here, it exists before and after. And again, I believe, based on what I'm reading so far, or at least I'm kind of explaining what's described in this book that I'm about to show you in a second. But the notion or the idea is that everything is chosen. So a lot of times when we question, why is this happening to me? Why is there fairness? Is there equity in the universe? This is so unfair. Clearly, this cannot be fair, whatnot. In fact, the idea is, or the theory is that actually everything is chosen ahead of time. And so even the positive along with the negative experiences that are happening to some extent, or maybe to a full extent, I suppose, we had a hand in that, and we wanted that to extract particular learning lessons from these negative and positive experiences. All right. So, of course, we're going to dive a little bit deeper with a couple excerpts. And this might be one of the last videos I'm going to make on this book in particular, as I've finished it. And this is from the last chapter, second to last chapter, a quick excerpt from The Journey of Souls. This book has been absolutely amazing. I loved reading it. Can't wait to get to my next one and start making video breakdowns as I go through and learn more information. But this is by, again, Michael Newton, PhD, where he basically, via hypnosis, interviews many subjects and cases about their time in the spirit realm and the light realm, whatever you want to call it, before and after this physical life is lived. And this is all the information that he has extracted and then organized to share with others. So take everything as a learning opportunity, a learning experience. I'm not here presenting this to say this is the absolute truth. I don't know. I'm at the beginning of my learning journey, but I will say this: when I read the accounts and when I compare it to things that I learned growing up about the nature of reality, religion, our spiritual identities, etc., this is it really resonates with me, and it makes a lot of sense in terms of when we try to answer those questions of why do bad things happen, or why are these negative things going on, when we have a benevolent and a loving, all loving creator of some sort or whatnot. Why is this happening? And when you look at it through the lens of, it's not just happening to us, it's happening for us. And a lot of these things we've chosen for particular types of spiritual growth based on where we have deficiencies and spiritual entities, it starts to make a lot more sense versus we're just here and it's a test and everybody's got a different test and we have to, right? So to me, this is really resonating with me on a deeper level in terms of it feels truth, but I'm only at the beginning of my journey, and there's so many other things I need to read and look at and analyze and cross compare. But anyways, this is food for thought, and it does make me feel like I'm onto something. So let's talk about the first subtopic of this broader topic, the idea that we agreed to be given our parents. And I think this is such a amazing thing to keep in mind, especially when we're feeling a certain way about our parents, about the way that they raised us, the way that they, maybe things that they did that upset us when we were growing up. A lot of our traumas usually stem from things or interactions that happened with our parents, or watching our parents interact way back in the day. And it just gives you so much context to realize, or to think that, or to understand, let's say, if this is the case, that we chose this and we came for the intent of maybe having to be subjected to certain things for our own spiritual growth. Maybe we needed those lessons. Maybe we came partially to help them, to be a part of their story, to be a part of their journey, and to maybe help them see things in a different way. Man, it's like you change from that mentality of thinking everything is happening to you. And I hate to call it a victim mentality, but a bit of that, right? As kids, we feel really helpless, like the parents should have this absolute higher level of knowledge and responsibility, but we're all trying to figure stuff out in this life. And when you think about it that way, at least for me, it gives me a lot of inner peace in terms of not, and I let go of this stuff a long time ago, but not necessarily looking at what things were done to us, or things that happened around us that caused us to be traumatized when we were kids. It's just being like, hey, they were trying to figure their things out, and we actually asked for this. We asked to be put in this situation. So whatever happens was basically by design. Whether or not it was painful or not, it was for our own benefit because we chose it and we agreed to it. Very, very powerful stuff. So let's read this excerpt right here from The Journey of Souls. Case 27 demonstrates how the hard tasks we set for ourselves often begin in childhood. This is why considerable weight is given to family selection by the soul. This is after interviewing case 27, and then this is sort of the text after that point. The idea that each of us voluntarily agreed to be the children of a given set of parents before we came into this life is a difficult concept for some people to accept. Let me pause right there. See, for me, this is very easy for me to accept because it liberates me from a lot of negative thinking about certain things in the past and whatnot. So to me, it's actually an amazing thing to accept. Not only that, it resonates with me on a logical level, maybe at a deeper spiritual level. That's why I feel like it's onto something. Now, and again, this isn't just somebody speaking out of nowhere. This is somebody gathering information for years and decades and placing it into this organized fashion of this book. So I don't think this is not somebody just thinking and imagining and having an idea of like, this kind of makes sense. This is what somebody else has said. I'm saying, though, when I analyze it and think about it, it does make sense to me. And that makes me feel good and respect this information as one of many reasons why I respect it. Although the average person has experienced love from their parents, many of us have unresolved hurtful memories of those near us who should have offered protection and did not. We grow up thinking of ourselves as victims of biological parents and family members whom we inherited without any choice in the matter. This assumption is wrong. Again, like, right? How many times do you say, man, well, why did you, sometimes you hear kids in a fit of rage, like, I didn't ask to be here. You guys had me, so I'm here now. And then this isn't fair, whatever. We flip that script. It's actually not that way, at least according to this book and these testimonials and these different stories. We chose this. We came here for this purpose. And so we got to do the best with what we got. You know what I mean? To me, it's thinking this way and following along with this narrative. And if this narrative is indeed true, which I am inclined to believe at this time that it is, it's empowering because it tells us and it reminds us not to have that victim mentality and say, wait a minute, I chose this. Whatever the circumstances are, they may not be perfect. Different people, maybe our parents could do things in a different way or what, but that's the life we chose and we walked into. And as such, we just got to do the best with what we're given. And we move on from there. The second thing I wanted to point out is we learn and help others learn. So again, the big picture that is constantly reiterated over and over in this book is the purpose of life largely is to come here and to learn on a spiritual level, not learn facts and information, because from my understanding to what they've described as well in this book and from countless other near-death experiences, information is perfectly, it's perfect. It's perfectly accessible. It's instantaneous outside of our bodies. There's no delay. There's no search engines. Everything is just there. If you request it, it comes. So it's not actually a quest for specific information about physics or mathematics or whatnot. The learning is about spiritual growth, vibrational change in our essence. And more or less like what they're describing in the book is the more spiritually evolved you become, it's just becoming more empathetic, more loving, simple. That's what's described. And then, and getting to that place, that's why we come here and incarnate and go through what we go through. I mean, you just think about it in a little microcosm. We learn, right? Not to, as one example, we learn, let's say, not to take somebody's lunch at school. Sometimes when that happens to us and we see how bad it makes us feel, and then we say like, oh my God, that made me feel so bad. I don't want to do that to other people. And I think that's a nice little mini example of partially of like what coming here does for us by experiencing these things, having a visceral understanding of these emotions and these feelings that are brought on by negativity that's thrown our way. Man, it just gives us more perspective and probably elevates our souls in ways that we just can't do otherwise. At least that's what Dr. Newton is describing in many of these cases and what many of these people are describing as well. So check out this quote to basically showcase this point. When clients tell me how much they suffer from the actions of family members, my first question is, if you had not been exposed to this person as a child, what would you now lack in understanding? It may take a while, but the answer is in our minds. There are spiritual reasons for our being raised as children around certain kinds of people, just as other people are designated to be near us as adults. So again, it's this idea of growth. This goes back to the idea of self-development. You go through these negative things to improve yourself and to become a better, stronger person. But we can extend that out to the spiritual sense of our spiritual entities. Those negative experiences, man, it's like I just keep thinking about this and it gives me actually a positive message. The negative stuff, a lot of the tough times in life, that's the gold, that's the good stuff, because those are the things that force our growth and force us to improve, be more empathetic, be more loving, etc. This excerpt continues. To know ourselves spiritually means understanding why we joined in life with the souls of parents, siblings, spouses, and close friends. There's usually some karmic purpose for receiving pain or pleasure from someone close to us. Remember, along with learning our own lessons, we come to earth to play a part in the drama of other lessons as well. So it's for us, but somehow we're also here for the purpose of other souls' evolutions and spiritual evolutions and whatnot. So we may think that the onus is on our parents to influence us, to help us, to raise us, but maybe it goes the other way many times. We also saw an example in this book of a mother having a realization that her child was actually her spiritual guide, essentially I don't want to say more evolved, but like a higher vibrational spiritual entity that was actually looking out for her, incarnated, and then was almost the one that was maybe making sure that she was going along the path correctly, but was incarnated as her child. You would think it'd be the other way around. So it's very, very interesting that this somehow all intermingles. Now, you might think about this again. Let's talk about it through the logical lens. That seems so difficult to coordinate. How could it all work out so perfectly? It seems almost astounding and impossible that this is the case. And again, this is just what is being delivered back and relayed back to us through these testimonials. My thought is this doesn't necessarily make me feel that this is bad information or this is impossible to pull off. The logistics are too impossible, because if you zoom out to what is being described in the spiritual realm with essentially like infinite accessibility to all the knowledge and infinite intelligence, essentially you're outside of the time realm. Maybe it's it seems so impossible and improbable to line up all these different elements so that I'm learning while other people are learning from me, and they're learning and I'm learning from them, etc. Maybe it actually does seem very easy to orchestrate this entire play, this entire show of life on earth, such that for the most part, we all complement each other and we all kind of learn together and grow and evolve simultaneously. So that's my 2 cents. I think it's very interesting. Zooming out once again, this notion that we choose our family, we choose our parents, we choose our siblings for specific reasons. I think if let's put it like this. And again, I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm just sharing for other folks who, like me, who are out there trying to seek information, trying to get a better understanding of what's going on in this universe and maybe feel unsatisfied by the answers that have been given to them thus far. If this is something that resonates with you and you do feel like, man, this makes a lot of sense, and I'm tending to dive deeper and maybe believe that this is actually what's going on. I will say this, that I do think it lifts a burden from you. It lifts maybe hanging on to some negative emotions or some residual anger towards folks who have wronged you, or this and that in life. Now, instead, if we look at it through the lens of that was by design, and I chose that interaction to help myself grow and gain empathy in particular ways to spiritually evolve, I think I don't know, it's beautiful to me. It's beautiful to me. And it really, it can help you, whether or not the goal is to move forward. I think it can help you move forward and move past and look at things in a totally different and positive light. So that's my 2 cents. This was really powerful for me when I read it, so that's why I shared it. And be on the lookout. We got more videos coming out, more material to read. I'm going to really ramp it up and try to start learning more and more at a much more rapid rate and make way more content. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.